Let's update you on the tariffs. Chinese President Xi Jinping is going to Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia. Hey, President Xi, let me just break it to you. Those folks have no money at all. Okay, they cannot help you. They're not gonna buy your stuff because they don't have any money. All right, and so I don't know why you're going there because. Yeah, now maybe he's trying to sneak in Chinese goods under the Vietnamese label, but that's going to be easily exposed. So I don't even know what this is. You know, if China loses the U.S. market, and I still believe there's going to be a détente here, it's hosed. It's just screwed because we have the money. We buy the stuff. The Malays aren't going to buy your stuff. They don't have any money. All right, so he's over there. Trump economic advisor Kevin Hassert says that dozens of tariff deals are going to be made shortly. And the quote is, the progress has been astonishing. Okay. Now, all of the other broadcasters after I just reported that would have said, we'll see. But I don't say we'll see because it's a cliche and it's stupid. This is what President Trump is saying, told me directly. So Hassert is saying what the president's saying. Okay, let's get some other perspective on this. Now, you may know Eric Bolling. Don't bring him in yet. I just want to give his background first. So Eric Bolling, when I was at the factor at Fox, he would sub for me, and the ratings would go down. But, you know, they went down for everybody. That's sub for me. But he did a decent job. I mean, you know, he ran a show. And then he was over at a couple of other places. But his background is in economics. And he was a board member of the New York Mercantile Exchange, big shot in oil and gas trading. So he knows the economic world. And he joins us now from West Palm Beach, Florida, where he airs daily on Real America's Voice, Dish, YouTube, all of that internet stuff. So, Bolling, you okay down there in Florida? You all right?
We miss you down here, Bill. It's always good to have you in the studio walking around.
You look a little like Maynard G. Krebs with the goatee, but that's all right. It's okay.
By the way, that compliment was amazing, especially coming from the guy who I did sit in for over 250 times over an 11-year period. So I must have been, ratings went down, but they must not have gone down that much, Mr. Bill O'Reilly.
You know, when Juan Williams sat in for me, they really went down. But when you went, you weren't that bad. So look, I know you've had some discussions on your programs, and you had some criticism about the tariffs. Where do you think they are now?
So I stand firm, Bill. I'm a free market, true, like complete free marketeer. I just believe that government shouldn't get their hands in any form of the markets. Now, again, let me qualify that with, I am really, really rooting for the Trump tariffs to work. I hope they do. I'm hearing they are. As Kevin Hassert said, it's going to be astounding when they start telling us what they've gotten or what they've received. My only issue is I just don't like government interfering in markets. And when I mean government, I mean our government also. But if it's going to be used, I think they lost the messaging, Bill. Let me reframe this. It came out where we were going to raise tariffs to the rest of the world to the level that they're charging us. And when they realize they can't do it anymore, their tariffs will come down and our tariffs will come down as well. At some point, it turned to, well, they're all begging to, kind of kiss the ring and come make a deal with us, which was the wrong message for me as a free marketeer. He got back on message recently over the weekend and said, when they lower them, we'll lower them. And that's what I hope for. I hope for a global no tariff or a global 10% across the board in two directions.
Let's just cut through this. We have no control about China and what China's import tariffs are. We don't. So they can jack up their tariffs, and same thing with the EU. Hans and Franz can buy stuff from the United States. We ship it over to Hans and Franz in Munich, and they slap a 20% VAT, value-added tax on it, which means Hans and Franz have to charge, if they resell whatever they buy from us, they got to slap 20% more on. American goods can't compete with the German-made goods. That's the game. We can't control it. So free marketing is really a myth. It isn't free. It's not free anywhere. So what Trump wanted to do was basically say, we're not letting you rip us off anymore. We're the biggest market in the world. We have the most money, the most consumers who can spend, and you're going to play fair. It seems logical to me that that would be a good policy for the United States. But in order to get there, we have to suffer, and Americans don't want to suffer. That's where we are.
Again, agree, and that is the theory, and I hope it works, and I really do. I hope it doesn't push us into a global recession, which theoretically could happen. And I'm not suggesting we continue to have a trade imbalance and have a tariff imbalance with these countries. I'm simply saying there are ways to maybe negotiate other countries bringing down their tariffs. I'll give you an example. China charging us whatever they want to charge us, whatever they've been charging us, because we don't even really know. We can talk about this number that they came up with China's charging us at 32%, which, to be honest with you, they made that up, but they used a different metric, not what they told us. Regardless, what we could do is China needs oil. We have a ton of oil. We can produce more oil. We can say, China, you lower your tariff, our export tariff, your import tariff, U.S. goods going to China, lower it to a reasonable number. Let's call it 20%, and we'll only put a 20% tariff on the oil we'll send you, and we'll send you a ton of liquefied natural gas.
That's what will eventually happen. But China isn't benign, okay? They don't want to give up their unbelievable trade advantage, not only with the United States, but everywhere else. They don't want to give it up. But the mistake that I think the Trump administration made was this. They tried to do it too fast. Instead of knocking down Canada and Mexico, then going to the EU, then going to China, or whatever order you want to put it in. And along the way, explain every step to the American people, which they could have done, all right? Instead of this tsunami all at once that panicked the worldwide markets, that led to the stock market going down. They could have been a more gradual thing, and that's what I would have done.
There's a third alternative. I agree with that. There's a third alternative where they could have come up with, okay, so we buy a lot of garbage, trinkets, crap we buy a lot from China, right? And we sell them in technology and in important goods and whatnot. We could have gone out to the rest of the world, Taiwan, Vietnamese, you just mentioned them, and say, you know what, you want to build a manufacturing plant there, and we don't want to pay this 32%, 35% China tax anymore. We'll buy from you instead of them. Here it is. The United States is the wealthiest consumer. We're a huge buyer walking into a mall. The world is the mall. I mean, we have this massive credit card with trillions of dollars of credit on it. And we go, you know what? That store, China right there, is charging too much for the same thing I can buy from that store over there, Taiwan. You know, I'm going to go over there and watch what happens. China drops their tariff, drops their price to compete for us. Everyone wants our dollar. That's a more, I would call it, free market solution to dropping
global tariffs. Okay, but that would be incredibly complicated to do. Now, NVIDIA out of Taiwan just announced today it's going to build a big chip plant in the United States. That's a huge victory for the USA, by the way. Enormous.
Do you believe that?
Do I believe they will do it? Yes, I do believe that because he made the deal.
I hope they do too.
The CEO made the deal directly with Trump. No, it's inconceivable that they wouldn't do it now.
Well, so Apple says we're going to do $500 billion. We're going to build here. These CEOs are catering. They're kowtowing to Howard Lutnick and the group and making a lot of promises, but we don't know if they're. I hope they do. And by the way, that's 10 years down the road, Bill. It's not next. You don't build a chip manufacturing plant in the next 2 or 3 years.
Look, the reason I believe it'll happen is Trump can hurt them. Yes, Trump is out come 2028, but he can hurt them now if we don't see progress and fast progress, and he will. You go back on a deal with Trump. He's going to find a way. Anyway, Bo, we're glad you're doing well down there.
Retribution or revenge?
If you lie to the president of the United States about intentions, that's retribution. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's retribution. Glad you're doing well down there in South Florida, Bolling. Okay,
love it, Bill.
Right, we'll talk soon again. Thanks for helping us out.
Yes, sir.
Sanctuary cities, immigration. So another tough guy approach, President Trump. This is April 10th, True Social quote. No more sanctuary cities. They protect the criminals, not the victims. They're disgracing our country and are being mocked all over the world. Working on papers to withhold all federal funding for any city or state that allows these death traps to exist. Okay, so now we have zeroed in on 3 of the most egregious sanctuary cities. And there are 50 of them, but let's do 3. Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson basically gives a finger to the federal government. All right, Chicago receives $2.5 billion in federal funds. $2.5 billion in federal grant money. And Trump's going to cut that off. Now, some of that is summer food for poor kids. A lot of that, and you're going to hear a scream out of there, but that's going to hurt that city. Boston, Michelle Wu. Okay? She's another one. It basically says, I don't care what you say, we're not going to cooperate with you. $300 million. For Boston's not a big town. That's a lot of money. Housing, city services, other general things. And finally, Denver. Mike Johnston, another radical left mayor, $100 million, okay, mostly for education. So President Trump's going to cut that money back. Now, there'll be lawsuits, you know that. Everybody will sue. But look at Maine. That governor of Maine going to the Oval Office and saying to Trump, hey, I'm not going to do the trans athlete thing. They're hurting, boy, because those lawsuits take a long time and they cost the city and state to do that. They cost them a lot of money. So just bringing it up today, he's going after the sanctuary cities. Kilmar Garcia, who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. He is an El Salvadoran, 29 years old. He has a wife who's an American, 5-year-old child who's an American. He is now in El Salvador. The president of El Salvador came to Washington today. Okay? The Supreme Court has ruled that the Trump administration's got to bring this guy back to the USA. But the Salvadoran president says he's not going to do it. And Trump and all of the administration people, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, said, we're not going to do it. So Mr. Garcia, he's over there. I don't know if he's in custody or not. Now, the Trump administration alleges he's MS-13 gang member. But if that were the case, why is he here legally? See, a judge in Maryland gave this man asylum privileges. He's in the asylum process now. And then the Supreme Court rules he's got to be brought back. The Trump administration will have to obey that law, that ruling from the Supreme Court. Even though they're huffing and puffing, and they should. Can't have anarchy. All right? You know how I feel about that. I don't know the guy. I don't know what the guy did. But if the Supreme Court says bring him back, you bring him back. Bill O'Reilly here, emphasizing the importance of a safer alternative in threatening situations. Before using lethal force, consider the Byrna less lethal pistol launcher, a device designed to incapacitate an attacker with tear gas and kinetic ammunition for up to 40 minutes. It minimizes legal risks and permanent harm. We hear from a Byrna user, Adam, who faced a road rage driver. Armed with his Byrna launcher, Adam de-escalated the threat by aiming the laser at the aggressor. That allowed him to wait safely for police intervention. That night, Byrna not only prevented a potential tragedy, but also saved potential lives, all without physical harm. Byrna, legal across all 50 states with no background checks required, has sold more than 500,000 units. Please go to Byrna.com/Bill, save 10%, and learn so many Americans why they choose Byrna. That's Byrna.com/Bill to save 10%. Back to Gavin Newsom, governor of California. Very busy, very, very busy. He's out of money for Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal is Medicaid. Okay? So they're out of money. Ran out of money, even though they tax you Californians up to here. Not any money. Why don't they have any money? Because, listen to this, illegal migrants are expected to receive this year alone $10 billion in health care costs from the state of California. So in addition, I think there's 53 million California's largest state, 10 million undocumenteds getting their health care paid for. So they're out of money in Medi-Cal. So what Newsom is doing, he's taking $3 billion from another part of the California budget, already running record deficits out there, okay? And he's putting it into Medi-Cal because they're broke, because they're paying so many bills for the undocumented. Now, this is what you hear when Bernie Sanders says Republicans want to cut Medicaid. So the Republican Party wants to pass legislation that says if you're undocumented, you're not going to get Medicaid, Medi-Cal, whatever it's called. You don't get it. You're not entitled to get it. That's legitimate. Let Congress vote on it. But Sanders goes, oh no, they want to cut everybody's Medicaid. It's not true. You see, I spent 16 minutes now. We're 16 minutes into this broadcast, all right, giving you one corrupt thing after the other in this country. And I'm saying to myself, this has got to stop. But the only way it's going to stop is for the courts to intervene. But California, boy. Okay, now to President Biden, he's back. So he goes to Chicago to give a speech in front of advocates, counselors, and representatives for the disabled. That's a great cause, okay? Anything helping disabled people is excellent. This is at the Sofitel Hotel in Chicago. Very safe venue. Very safe for Mr. Biden. So he gets up there and he meanders around, and then he gets down to what he really wanted to talk about. Go.
Fewer than 100 days, this new administration has made done so much damage and so much destruction. It's kind of breathtaking it could happen that soon. They've taken a hatchet to the Social Security Administration, pushing an additional 7,000 employees, 7,000 out the door in that time, including the most seasoned career officials. Now they're getting ready to push thousands more out the door. Already we can see the effects.
All right, so we fact-checked them. The Trump administration wants to cut the Social Security Administration workforce from 57,000 to 50,000. They are offering buyouts, early retirements, all of that, and they are cutting some jobs. Now, to me, if you have a $36 trillion debt, 36 trillion, you got to cut. So this doesn't seem unreasonable to cut 7,000 out of a workforce of 57,000. Does it seem unreasonable to you to do that? Not to me. But what Biden and Sanders and all Democrats say, they're going to cut your Social Security. See what they do? So I knew that Biden was going to do that. I didn't even see any coverage of Biden. I mean, Democrats are embarrassed by him now. But I thought you'd want to know. Tariff latest. So I am involved with this to some extent, as far as people asking my opinion at very high levels. And I give my opinion, all right, that I want this to calm down, this tariff stuff. I understand that the United States should stick up for itself, worldwide economics. We're doing the right thing. How we're doing it needs to be re-examined because we don't want to hurt our own. And the stock market, as I pointed out at the top of the program, gyrating wildly every day is not good. Okay. So Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni comes to the United States tomorrow. She's a friend of Trump, a sympathizer with Trump. Okay? But Italy doesn't pay its dues to NATO. They're way underpaid. And their tariffs are 21%. Now, I think Meloni is going to give President Trump what he wants. I think. I can't guarantee it. At the same time, I believe that Japan and the USA are very close to a deal on tariffs as well. And Japan's tough market. They don't want to take a lot of American stuff over there. So I know for a fact that President Trump believes he's going to get these two deals done quickly, and then others will follow. Okay, that's what the president believes. So you know. Something I found out this morning, I don't use anonymous sources, but I can't burn my sources, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to tell you this I found out. You can believe me or not. It doesn't really matter to me whether you believe me, by the way. I know that sounds a little harsh, but I don't mean it to. But when I tell you anything on this broadcast, I always say, I know this for sure, this is the truth, or I'm not sure, or I could be wrong. I always bring context to it. This I know happened. China called the White House this morning. I don't know who in China. Might have been somebody with takeout. I don't know. But I know that call came in. And that's a good thing. But I don't know any more about it. I will. This is so hard. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I like what I do. But it's so hard to get this information because I can't report it to you unless I believe it's valid. Unlike 98% of all the other journalists in the country who just throw stuff out, they don't know whether it's true or not. I won't do that. I don't want to mislead you, which is why we don't have to apologize here very much at all for anything. Let's talk about something big Pharma doesn't want you to hear. The government and drug companies suppress treatments like ivermectin and others, not because they didn't work, but because they threatened their billion-dollar vaccine rollout. They want control over your health, but when it comes to your health, you should be in charge. I trust All Family Pharmacy. They provide ivermectin, antibiotics, more essential treatments that can be hard to find. They handle prescriptions shipped directly to your door in days, no hassle, real options. Stock up now so you're prepared, whether it's for illness, travel, or just peace of mind. You never know when you'll need these medications. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use the code BILL10 for 10% off. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill, code BILL10. President Trump is trying to fix the economy, but some believe the damage is already done. As the dollar value drops, China's power and gold keep going up. I called American Hartford Gold to diversify with physical precious metals, and you might consider that as well. They will help you secure your savings with physical gold and silver delivered right to your door, or you can set up a tax advantage gold IRA. Plus, it's tax and penalty free to roll over your current 401k or IRA. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of five-star ratings, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, they are the only precious metals dealer I trust. So please call or text American Hartford Gold. Tell them O'Reilly sent you, and you might get $15,000 of free silver on a qualifying order. Call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Smart Life. Okay, interesting story. So I needed socks. This is one of my favorite things, going shopping for socks. And I went, all right, I have to go. So I go to Bloomingdale's. And there's the socks. So I go over, this will be easy, right? I'll get some socks. They're all made in China. All right. Ralph Lauren. Polo, big, China. I would have taken Malaysia. I would have taken Honduras. I would have taken it. No, I'm not buying China stuff. I'm not buying Chinese food. I don't even like Chinese food. Okay? I'm not buying Chinese socks. So I had to walk out of there. There were no American socks. And so now if you see me on the street and I don't have any socks on, you know why. So this is about choices. If every American consumer would just stop and say, you know, China's not our friend, and I'm not going to buy any more Chinese stuff. Wouldn't have to have tariffs or anything like that. Nobody buys anything from China, right? Okay. Smart life. Make good choices even when you're buying socks. Ladies of space, everyone. So this morning, how many of them? Six ladies, some of them famous, were launched on the Blue Origin. Roll the tape.
4, command engine start. 2, 1, ignition. Liftoff. New Shepard has cleared the tower.
Remember Ralph Cramden and the Honeymooners? To the moon, Alice. Well, not quite, but getting there. 11 minutes of flight time. They went 62 miles above the Earth. Little weightlessness. And Lauren Sanchez, Katy Perry, the singer, Gayle King, the CBS person, Amanda Nguyen, civil rights activist, Aisha Bowe, and Carrie Ann Flint. Aisha Bowe is a former NASA person, and Carrie Ann Flint is a film producer. So they all went into space. And I don't know really why they went, but they went. And it was for Gayle King, you know, good publicity for the CBS morning show. Now, I asked my staff, I said, you know, I haven't heard much about these morning shows. Give me the ratings on them. Listen to this. This is incredible. So for the week of March 31st, that was what, 2 weeks ago? The CBS morning show, Gayle King and two other guys, had less than 2 million viewers. Less than 2 million. Today's show had 2,600,000, and Good Morning America had 2.8. And all of them were down from last year. And when I used to go on these shows to publicize my books, they were doing 5 million, 6 million. They're falling apart. And the reason is they're boring and they've alienated all the center-right people and all the conservative and traditional people because it's all liberal across the board, except for Jenna Bush. Yeah, she's not liberal, the daughter of President Bush the Younger. But the whole presentation is, you know, woke and people go, you know. When I get up in the morning, I'm already woke. I don't want more woke on television. So these shows are in trouble. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.